Barakateh Hawa, Bahashem Yahushai, Bahashem Rachakodash. Welcome to another live lesson. The name of this is E is very devious. Now we're going to look up the word devious, which is a devious person is not being truthful and maybe trying to trick you. And that's exactly what these devils try to do. Anything negative, they throw the scent off by lying about it. I also looked at the word devious here. It says showing a skillful use of underhanded tactics to achieve goals. And that's pretty much what these devils do. They have something called plausible deniability and just all different types of tactics that they use to lie, to hide their true intentions. And I was watching a brother's video, and somehow there were certain things that came to mind dealing with scriptures and certain things, and it just prompted me to look over a couple more things, and eventually pretty much came together. And I'll explain what I mean in a minute. I just trying to get the thoughts out the best I can, because these devils, they hide things because they know that, pretty much they know Jake ain't going to research nothing. They're not going to look anything up. And if they do start looking things up, there's a lot of disinformation out there. And, they know Jake is only going to go so far with it. But what they don't realize is that the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai is working with us to find this information out. So what I'm talking about is the name Esau, who the Edomites are, and who they try to say the Edomites are. So we'll leave it at that. Genesis 25:25. And the first came out red all over like an hairy garment, and they called his name Esau. Now, the name Esau, when you go to the blue letters, they say it means hairy, right? The name Esau does not mean hairy, all right? There is a word that means hairy, and the word that means hairy is Aishah. Aishah is the word that literally means hairy. All right, just bear with me 1 second. The word, the word Sha'ir means hairy. I'm just trying to look for something. Just bear with me 1 second. Okay. Let's see if we do this. Here we go. Beautiful. All right. The word Sha'ir means hairy. The word Esau is a compound word, Aishashwa. As you see here, Aish and then Wa, Aishah, which is a compound word, Aishashwa. The Y at the end of a word, if it's not connected to the word, means he or him. Now, the word Aishash comes from the H6244 Aishash. As you see here, you could also find it in the not the Zondavins, the Ben Yehudi English Hebrew English dictionary. As you see here, Aishash, which is a primitive root, and you scroll down here, it says to waste away, fail. See, and that's really what it means. Aishashwa or Aishah, wasted away is he, be consumed. Why? Because the pigment that he had was consumed. So I just wanted to bring that out, as an extra, tidbit. But the main thing I'm looking at here, when you look at the word Esau, right? The word there is Aishah or Aishashwa. Now, when you go here, it says hairy, right? It doesn't mean hairy. We just proved that. It says, eldest son of Isaac and Rebekah and twin brother of Jacob, sold the birthright for food when he was hungry, and the divine blessing went to Jacob, progenitor or father of the Arab peoples. All right. And the reason why they say this is because you had a group of people that took over that region of land, which are known as the Nabateans. Now, the Nabateans, are said to be Northern Arabian people, right? And we know that the so-called Arabian people, you have different mixes there, but, certain people that you call Arabs go back to a man by the name of Ishmael, which was Abraham's firstborn son. And these Nabateans, what they did was they took over the region of land known as Petra today. They call it Petra. And this is why they say that the Nabateans, or the Arab people, as we read here, are the progenitors. That Esau is the progenitor of the Arab peoples, because they are living in that land, or were living in that land, which was an actual strategic trade route that the Seleucids tried to take from them, but they were unsuccessful, and they held that for a good while, but they came into that region around the 4th century BC. That's when they were really heavy in that region. So since they occupied that region, that's why they try to make it seem like they are those people. They are the Edomites, which they're not. Totally different people. Now, when we go to, matter of fact, let's go to Genesis 36 real quick. It says, now these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom. We scroll down to 32 verse 8. Thus dwelt Esau where? In Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites, in Mount Seir. Now, when you look up Mount Seir. Mount Seir is a range of mountains, from the land of Edom all the way down to the Gulf of Aqaba. Like that, it covers a good region. There's mountainous regions in that area that are known biblically as Mount Seir, because there's a range of mountains. So we look up the word Mount Seir, right, which the word mountain is Har, and then you have the word Seir, which is Sha'ir, and this means hairy or shaggy. That's exactly what Seir means. They're correct on this. Patriarch of the Horites, because the Horites, which were Hamites, they actually lived in that region and had that area before the Edomites had it. All right. You had a nation called the nation of the Horites, which were Hamites, and they actually lived there before Esau took over. So any history associated with the Horites, you can't pin that on the Edomites, because they weren't there first. And when the Edomites took over that land, even though they took over their land, that doesn't mean that they're the Horites. See, two totally different people. Just like the Nabateans, when they took over, the land of Petra and that region there, you can't say that they're the Edomites just because they live in that land, because they came up into that land and they pretty much took over that part of land, or that plot of land, so to speak. So it says the inhabitants of Edom before the descendants of Esau, the Edomites. Then it says the land of Edom south of the Dead Sea. All right. A mountain range in Edom extending from the Dead Sea to the Atlantic Gulf. Apparently also called Mount Seir, and extending most of the distance of the mountain range itself. A mountain in northern Judah lying westward in Kirjath Jearim. And pretty much Judah is going to take that land once Esau suffers their 1,000 years of hardcore slavery. We're not going to be nice to them. Salakia. Now let's go here, because where are we at? Now what I did was I typed in ancient name of Petra, right? And the ancient name of Petra, which is ancient city in Jordan, right? That's in that region. When you look up map of Jordan, it should give you that region. Let's go to, no, not maps, I'm sorry. go to images. Right, and when you go to images, you see here. Let's see if I can get a bigger. Yep, this one. Hopefully. Yeah, here we go. This is Jordan. This everything in yellow and jello. Everything in jello here. All right, this is Jordan now. But Esau lived in the south of this. You have this is still called Akbar. This is the Gulf of Akbar, which is the eastern Gulf of the Red Sea. You know, and this region from here to here somewhere. This is where Mount Seir would be. This is the land of Edom that these Nabateans or Arabian people took over, right? So when we go here, it says Petra, ancient city, Jordan. It says Petra, Arabic Batra, ancient city, center of an Arab kingdom in Hellenistic and Roman times, the ruins of which are in southwest Jordan. The city was built on a terrace, pierced from the east to west by the Wadi Musa, which is the Valley of Moses, one of the places where, according to tradition, the Israelite leader Moses struck a rock and water gushed forth. And this is not tradition, this is actual factual. You could call it supernatural, you know, because it was the Heavenly Father that was working with Moses, you know, to do that, to give, you know, our forefathers water. The valley is enclosed by sandstone cliffs veined with shades of red and purple varying to pale yellow, and for this reason Petra was called by the 19th century English biblical scholar John William Burgon a rose red city half as old as time. The modern town of Wadi Musa, situated adjacent to the ancient city, chiefly serves the steady stream of tourists who continue to visit the site. Yeah, because when the Lord said when Esau is totally annihilated, you know, and their land is totally annihilated, there ain't going to be nobody there. Because that wasn't talking about ancient Mount Seir and ancient land of Edom, because that land is going to be given to Judah. It's talking about the modern day Babylon the Great, or the modern day Edom, which is America. Now, this is what I found interesting here. It says the Greek name Petra, rock, probably replaced the biblical name Selah. Remains from the Paleolithic and Neolithic periods have been discovered at Petra, and Edomites are known to have occupied the area about 1200 BCE. Centuries later, the Nabateans, an Arab tribe, occupied it and made it the capital of their kingdom. So they are not the progenitors of Esau. They happen to come into a land where Esau was and took over that land in that region. In 312 BCE, the region was attacked by Seleucid forces who failed to seize the city under Nabatean rule. Petra prospered as a center of the spice trade that involved such disparate realms as China, Egypt, Greece, and India, and the city's population swelled to between 10,000 and 30,000. And you can read the rest. I put this in the description box. So keep this in mind, Selah. All right. The Greek name Petra, or rock, probably replaced the biblical name Selah. No, not probably. That's exactly what it did. When we go to 2 Kings 14 and 7, this is dealing with Amaziah when he was jacking Esau up, right? And when he was jacking Esau up, here, this is what is written of him. It said, he slew of Edom, which are the Edomites, in the valley of Salt 10,000, and took Selah by war. So this was that land, the ancient name of Petra, Selah, which was owned and inhabited by the Edomites. So Amaziah took Selah by war, and called the name of it Joktheel unto this day. We look up the word Selah, right? Which goes back to the Hebrew Selai, which means Selah, the rock. And that's, I believe, well, that's supposed to be Hebrew, but it's really Selai, the rock, a place in Edom. Perhaps an early name for Petra. Not perhaps, that is exactly what it is, an early name for Petra. It means rock, and that's why it was called rock. If you look at the region of it, it's all stone and rock and mountains. That's why they were able to carve things out. That's why you still have tourists to this day. And that's why it was so strategic, because of these mountains. They offered a lot of a lot of protection from outside invaders. You see? So, Selah, the rock, place in Edom, perhaps an early name for Petra. And when we go back here again to the 7th verse, he also called it what? Joktheel. Joktheel is Yahweh Tha'ala, which is a compound word. Joktheel, the blessing of the Most High. It says, a city in the low country of Judah, named next to Lachish, the name given to the cliff which was the stronghold of Edom by King Amaziah after capturing it, also called Selah and Petra. See, so these are the regions where Esau occupied. It says veneration of the Mojak, the name of a place in Palestine and of one in Idumea. All right, so this was something that was in Idumea. It was known as Selah at one time. Later the name was changed to Petra. All right, and this was the home of the Edomites, as we read here, which we read in Genesis 36 and 8 and 9. It says, thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir. Esau is Edom. That's all we need. And this was that region, because that was a part of their land. So the Nabatean people, which were actually Arabs, happened to live in that land. So what these devils did was, because they're living in that land now, when you look up the name Esau, which they got the definition of the name Esau wrong, call it hairy. That doesn't mean hairy. It means wasted away is he. They come down here and give you a brief little history, and then they'll tell you that it's the progenitor of the Arab peoples, which we know that the Arab people, for the most part, go back to Ishmael. Ishmael was one of, actually the firstborn son of Abraham. All right, the father of the so-called Arab people. So this is why I said this devil is very devious. Because he'll slap all that together, and somebody that is not aware, they'll say, the Edomites are Arab people. And that's why, because of the ignorance. And that's why we say that the Blue Letter Bible goes off. The Blue Letter Bible is not 100% accurate. There's a lot of good information in there, but they always, from time to time, they go off. And you have to know how to be able to discern when it's on point and when it's not. All right. So I just wanted to make it, a little lesson on that, because I found that very interesting. These devils are devious. They try to tell you that that Esau or the Edomites are Arabian people or Ishmaelites, and they're not, because the Arabs themselves come from Ishmael. For the most part, you have some Midianites out there. You have different, you have a different sprinkling of those nations. That's why they call them Arab. Going back to the Hebrew word Arab, which means mixed, but for the most part, they're Ishmaelites from Abraham, his son Ishmael, who had 12 princes. He had 12 sons, and they became 12 separate tribes, all right, of the Ishmaelites. And they were all up in that region. That's why it's called Arabia, all right. So the Edomites, Esau is not the Arab people. They are you so-called white people, and that's what you're trying to get away from. So I pray that this lesson was edifying. Until the next time I say shalom.